Two stalkers. Both armed. Both want her. Amara Nkosi, professional dominatrix, woman who controls powerful men for a living, is trapped in a hallway. Park Dong-wook on one side with a gun, the fake stalker her client hired who went rogue. And on the other side, a man from Port Harcourt, the one who made her flee Nigeria 5 years ago. Time to come home, Amara. We have unfinished business. His name is Chidi Okonkwo, her former professor, the man who taught her everything about power and control and dominance. Except he didn't teach her, he tried to break her. 2 years of training sessions. Manipulation disguised as education. A contract that would make her his property for 5 years. She ran the night before she was supposed to sign it. Changed her name. Built a new life in Seoul. And he's been hunting her ever since. She defeats him. Goes to Port Harcourt. Faces him in room 304, the exact room where he abused her. Uses psychology against him the way he used it against her. Gets him to confess. Walks away free. She won. It's over. Then 3 days later, back in Seoul, a package arrives. Flash drive. 2 years of footage. Her dungeon. Her clients. Her bedroom. Someone's been watching. Recording everything. High-profile clients who would be destroyed if this leaked. 1 week to surrender completely. No limits, no safe words, total submission, or they release everything. The message ends. I'm not a stranger. I'm someone you trust. Someone close to you this whole time. What happens when the woman who controls men discovers she's been controlled for 2 years? When her own dungeon was never private. When someone she trusts has been preparing to own her. This is about what real surrender looks like when you have no choice left. Welcome to Afro-K Dark Diaries TV. This is the Surrender Clause Part 2. Who's been watching? Let's find out. The hallway was a war zone waiting to happen. Park Dong-wook on one side. Gun aimed at Tae-hyun with the desperation of a man who had nothing left to lose. The Port Harcourt man on the other side, knife gleaming in the fluorescent light, eyes locked on Amara with an intensity that made her skin crawl with memory. And Tae-hyun standing between them and Amara like a human shield, his body language protective despite having no weapon, no real defense except his willingness to die first. Who the fuck are you? Tae-hyun demanded, his voice hard as he looked at the man with the knife. I'm Chidi Okonkwo. The man's English carried the thick, melodic accent of the Niger Delta. And Amara belongs to me. The words hung in the air like poison. Amara's entire body went cold. 5 years. She'd run for 5 years. Changed her name. Built a new life in Seoul. Hidden herself behind leather and control and professional dominance. And he'd found her. I no belong to anybody, Amara said, her voice steady despite the terror, her own Nigerian accent thickening under stress, something she usually suppressed completely. Chidi smiled, and it was the same smile she remembered from the classroom, from the training sessions, from the moment she'd realized she needed to run or lose herself completely. You know dey lie well, Amara. Now you sabi say you dey belong to me. You're not good at lying, Amara. You know you belong to me. He switched back to English. You ran from Port Harcourt because you couldn't face what we had. What you felt. So you became this. He gestured at her dungeon setup visible through her apartment door. This woman who controls men because you're terrified of being controlled yourself. That's not true. It is. I taught you everything. D/S dynamics. Power exchange. Psychological domination. You were my best student. My perfect submissive. Until you ran like a thief in the night. Tae-hyun's jaw clenched, his hands curling into fists. What did you do to her? I loved her. Trained her. Made her who she is today. Gave her purpose, structure, understanding of herself. Chidi's voice turned bitter. And she destroyed me for it. Left in the middle of the night during semester break. No explanation. No goodbye. No forwarding address. Just, he snapped his fingers. Gone. Like I meant nothing. Like everything we built meant nothing. You meant everything, Amara said, her voice breaking despite her attempt to stay controlled. That's why I ran. Because you were consuming me. Breaking me down. Making me into something I wasn't. Something I never wanted to be. I was making you into what you were. Your true self. A natural submissive who was fighting her own nature. I was helping you accept yourself. I'm not a submissive, Amara shouted, the words tearing out of her. I never was. You just couldn't accept that a woman could be dominant. Could have real power. Could refuse you. So you spent 2 years trying to break me into what you wanted instead of accepting what I am. Park Dong-wook, still holding his gun but clearly confused by this exchange, interrupted. This is all very touching. Very therapeutic. But I'm the one with the weapon here. So everyone needs to shut up and listen. 3 heads turned toward him. Here's what's happening, Park continued, his voice shaking slightly, desperation and obsession making him unpredictable. Amara comes with me. I've been watching her for 6 months. I know her routines, her clients, her needs. Not this Port Harcourt guy who's 5 years too late to the party. She's mine, Chidi growled, raising his knife. I found her first. I made her. You're just some pathetic stalker who watched through windows. And you're just some washed-up professor who couldn't handle being rejected. Park shot back. I actually understand her. Know what she needs. What's she? Stop, Amara commanded. Her voice cut through the chaos like a blade. Sharp, clear, dominant. All 3 men froze. This was her element. Her training. Years of controlling boardroom executives, politicians, men who thought they owned the world. All of it had prepared her for this moment. I'm not a prize to be won. Not a possession to be claimed. Not a trophy for whoever has the biggest weapon. She looked at each of them in turn, her spine straight, her voice controlled despite the terror underneath. I'm a person who makes her own choices. She turned to Park first. You're obsessed with a fantasy. A performance you watched through surveillance. You don't know the real me. You know the professional mask. The woman I created to survive. That's not love. That's parasocial obsession. Park's face flushed. You don't understand. I understand perfectly. I've dealt with dozens of men like you. Men who confuse watching with knowing. Obsession with connection. She dismissed him with a gesture and turned to Chidi. This was harder. He knew her. Had shaped her. Had nearly destroyed her. And you. Her voice was softer now but no less firm. You're obsessed with who I was. 5 years ago. A 23-year-old student who trusted her professor. Who believed your lies about training and natural submission and helping me find myself. Amara. No. You abused your position. Your authority. Your power over me. Her hands trembled, but she kept them at her sides, refusing to show more weakness. You took a student and tried to break her into your perfect toy. Disguised abuse as education. Called coercion training. That's not love. That's abuse. And I'm done pretending otherwise. Chidi's face twisted with rage and something else, desperation maybe. Recognition that she was slipping away from him again, this time permanently. I gave you purpose. Without me you'd be nothing. He lunged. Knife aimed at Amara, not to kill but to grab, to control, to take what he believed belonged to him. Tae-hyun moved. Faster than anyone expected. Caught Chidi's wrist mid-lunge. Twisted hard with a precision that spoke of training Amara hadn't known he had. The knife clattered to the floor, skittering across expensive hardwood. At the same moment, the hallway exploded with movement. Tae-hyun's security team, already on their way up from the lobby after the building's panic alarm was triggered, burst through the stairwell door. 8 men in suits. All armed. All professional. Down on the ground, the lead guard shouted in Korean. Hands where we can see them. Now! Park tried to run. Made it 3 steps before he was tackled by 2 guards, his gun kicked away and secured, hands cuffed behind his back within seconds. Chidi fought harder. It took 4 security guards to subdue him, his voice rising in a mix of English and Igbo as they forced him down. You cannot run from this, Amara. You cannot run from what you are. You're mine. You'll always be mine. I'll find you again. One of the guards gagged him, and finally there was silence. The hallway was empty except for Amara and Tae-hyun. Security was dragging both men toward the elevator. Police sirens wailed in the distance, growing closer. Amara stood frozen, shaking, unable to process what had just happened. 5 years of running. 5 years of building walls. 5 years of being in control. And in 30 seconds it had all crashed down. Tae-hyun pulled her close without asking permission. You're safe. You're safe now. No. Her voice was hollow, distant. I'm not. Chidi isn't working alone. He said, before on the phone, he said he has people. Resources. This isn't over. He'll come back. She'll. Tae-hyun's hand stroked her hair, the gesture surprisingly gentle for a man who usually demanded control. Not tonight. Tonight you're safe. Tomorrow we figure out the rest. But right now, he tilted her chin up, forcing her to meet his eyes. Right now you need to breathe. You need to let yourself feel safe. Even if it's just for one night. Amara wanted to argue. Wanted to plan. Wanted to maintain the control that had kept her alive and functioning for 5 years. Instead, she collapsed against him. Let his arms support her weight. Let herself be held. For the first time in 5 years, she surrendered to comfort. and it terrified her more than the knife had. They went to Tae-hyun's apartment. Not Amara's, it was a crime scene now, police everywhere, questions that would take hours to answer. His place was different. Minimalist. Controlled. Everything in its perfect place. The kind of space that screamed, "I need order because chaos terrifies me." He made her tea with hands that were surprisingly steady given what they'd just been through. Wrapped her in a blanket despite the apartment being perfectly temperature-controlled. Sat beside her on the couch and waited. "Tell me," he said quietly after several minutes of silence. "About Port Harcourt. About Chidi. About what he did that made you run halfway around the world." Amara took a shaky breath, her hands wrapped around the tea mug for warmth she didn't really need. "I was 23. Finishing my psychology degree at University of Port Harcourt. Top of my class. Had offers for graduate programs in London, Toronto, everywhere." She sipped her tea. Continued. "Then I met Chidi. He was a professor. Clinical psychology, specialized in trauma and power dynamics. Taught the advanced psych seminars." Her voice went flat, detached, the way trauma survivors often spoke about their abuse. "He saw something in me during his course. Called me naturally dominant. Said I had a gift. That I could be extraordinary if I learned to channel it properly. He recruited you. He groomed me." The word came out bitter. "Started offering private mentoring sessions. Said he ran workshops on D/S dynamics and power exchange psychology. That understanding these dynamics would make me a better therapist. Would give me tools other psychologists didn't have." Her hands tightened around the mug. "He taught me theory first. Safe. Academic. The psychology behind dominance and submission. Why people need power exchange. How it can be therapeutic when done correctly." She paused. "Then he said I needed practical experience. That I couldn't truly understand dominance without understanding submission first. That the best dominants were those who'd experienced both sides. Did you agree?" "At first, yes. I trusted him. He was my professor. He had credentials, respect, authority. I thought," her voice cracked, "I thought it was legitimate. Part of becoming a better therapist. Part of understanding the human psyche from all angles. But it wasn't. No." Tears started sliding down her face, and she didn't bother wiping them away. "He started pushing boundaries. Making me do things that felt wrong. Things that made me uncomfortable. When I'd object, he'd use his psychology training against me. Said my discomfort was resistance to my true submissive nature. That I was meant to surrender to him specifically. That refusing was refusing my authentic self." Tae-hyun's jaw tightened, but he stayed silent, letting her speak. "I started believing him. Started thinking maybe he was right. Maybe I was naturally submissive and just fighting it. He used every manipulation tactic in the book, and he knew them all because he taught them." She looked at Tae-hyun. "Gaslighting. Love bombing. Isolation. Intermittent reinforcement. Every technique we learned in abnormal psych, he used on me. And I was too young, too naive, too trusting to see it." "What made you finally leave?" "He told me it was time for the completion ceremony. That he was going to claim me fully. Mind, body, soul. Make me his permanently, not just as a student, but as his personal submissive. His property." Her voice went flat. "He had a contract written up. A real legal document. Called it a consensual power exchange agreement. It would give him control over my life for 5 years. Where I lived. What I studied. Who I spoke to. Everything. That's slavery. That's what I finally realized. Standing there with that contract in my hands, I saw it. Saw what he'd been building toward for 2 years. Saw that if I signed, I'd lose myself entirely. Become his possession." She set down her tea with shaking hands. "So I ran. That night. Packed one bag. Took money I'd saved from part-time work. Changed my last name from Okonkwo to Nkosi, my mother's maiden name. And fled to Seoul where he couldn't easily follow. And became a dominatrix. Became someone who would never be controlled again. Who would have all the power. Always. Forever." She looked at him. "That's why I do this work, Tae-hyun. Not because I love dominating. Not because it's my true nature like Chidi claimed. Because I'm terrified. Terrified of ever being that vulnerable again. That powerless. That owned." Tae-hyun was quiet for a long moment, processing everything. Then, "I'm sorry." "For what?" "For what I did. Hiring Park. Creating a fake stalker situation to manipulate you into needing me." His voice was heavy with guilt. "I didn't know about Chidi. Didn't know you'd already been manipulated by someone you trusted. Someone in a position of authority. If I had known, I would never." "Wouldn't you?" She cut him off. "Because the logic is the same. Create a problem. Offer yourself as the solution. Make me need you. That's manipulation. That's what Chidi did. And what you did. The only difference is scale. You're right. He didn't defend himself. You're absolutely right. And I don't have an excuse. I thought, he struggled. I thought you were just professionally dominant. That you'd built walls for self-protection, but underneath you might want connection. Intimacy. Someone to share power with. I didn't know you were running from abuse. From trauma. From someone who'd tried to own you. Neither did I. Not really. Amara wiped her eyes. Not until I started processing it in therapy years later. Until I realized what he did was wrong. Was criminal. Was abuse dressed up as education and mentorship, and helping me find my true self. She turned to look at him fully. But what you did? Also wrong. Also manipulation. Also using my vulnerability, my fear, against me for your own purposes. Her voice was steady now, controlled. So I have to decide, can I trust you? Can I forgive you? Can I, she paused. Can I let myself feel for you? Or are you just another man trying to control me with prettier words and better packaging? I don't want to control you. Tae-hyun's voice was raw. I want to know you. The real you. Not the professional dominatrix. Not the performance. You. The woman who's terrified but shows up anyway. The woman who ran from abuse but built a whole new life. The woman who's both powerful and vulnerable and trying to figure out which one is really her. He took her hand carefully like she might break. And I want to help you end this. Chidi. The stalking. The abuse that's followed you for 5 years. Whatever it takes. I'm here. Not as your client. Not as someone who wants to control you. As, he paused. As whatever you need me to be. Amara studied him. This man who'd manipulated her, but was genuinely trying to change. This man who'd stood between her and danger tonight without hesitation. What I need, she said quietly, is someone who won't try to fix me. Won't try to save me. Won't try to change me into what they think I should be. Just someone who stands with me. Beside me. As an equal. I can do that. Can you? She challenged. Because everything in you screams control. You micromanage your entire company. You manipulate situations to get what you want. You need to be in charge of every variable. That's why you came to me in the first place, because the panic attacks meant losing control, and you couldn't handle it. I needed those things. Past tense. His grip on her hand tightened. Because I was terrified of vulnerability. Of not having power. Of being at someone else's mercy. But tonight, he looked at her. Tonight I learned something. When you're in danger, when someone I care about is threatened, control doesn't matter. Power doesn't matter. Strategy doesn't matter. Only your safety matters. Your survival. Your life. He pulled her slightly closer. So if you need me to give up control, if you need me to surrender need to dominate every situation, if you need me to be equal instead of superior or inferior, I will. Because having you alive and free and choosing to be with me is worth more than any power. Any control. Any manipulation. Amara kissed him. She didn't plan it. Didn't think it through. Just reached for him. The kiss was soft. Tender. Different from their charged D/S scenes in her dungeon. Different from the power plays and negotiations. This was honest. Raw. Equal. I need to sleep, she whispered when they broke apart. But I'm afraid. Of what? Of closing my eyes and seeing him. Chidi. Of remembering what it felt like to be that powerless. That owned. That. Her voice broke. That broken. Then don't sleep alone. He kissed her forehead, her temple, her cheek. Stay here. Let me hold you. I won't touch you sexually. Won't push. Won't try anything. I'll just be here. So you're not alone with the memories. It was exactly what she needed to hear. Morning brought clarity along with exhaustion. Amara woke wrapped in Tae-hyun's arms, both of them still fully clothed on top of his bed covers. He'd kept his promise. Held her all night without pushing for anything more. Let her feel safe enough to actually sleep. Her phone buzzed on the nightstand. Multiple missed calls. All from the same Port Harcourt number. Her mother. I have to take this, she said, extracting herself from Tae-hyun's embrace. She answered, switching immediately to Nigerian Pidgin English. The language they used at home, neutral ground between her father's Ijaw and her mother's Igbo. Mama. Amara. Aha, what'n day happen? Why you no day pick my calls since yesterday? What's happening? Why haven't you been answering my calls since yesterday? Her mother's voice was sharp with worry. I don't hear say Chidi day Seoul. Say him find you. Not true. I heard that Chidi is in Seoul. That he found you. Is it true? Amara's throat tightened. true, mama. Come here with knife. Try to. She switched to English, unable to find the pidgin words for what had almost happened. He tried to take me. Said I belonged to him. That he had unfinished business. Her mother let loose a stream of pidgin so rapid and furious that even Amara struggled to follow all of it. The gist was clear. Creative insults about Chidi's parentage, his manhood, his intelligence, and several suggestions about where he could put his unfinished business. Mama begged, calm down. Please calm down. Calm down. Calm down. Her mother's voice rose. That man nearly destroy you 5 years ago. Make you run comet from your own country. Now follow you go Seoul. That useless man nearly destroyed you 5 years ago. Made you run from your own country. Now he followed you to Seoul? I go kill him myself. I swear to God. Despite everything, Amara smiled. Her mother was barely 5 feet tall, but had the fury of someone 3 times her size. The police get him now, mama. And the other man way day cause walla. The police have him now. Him, and the other man who was causing trouble. Other man? Her mother's voice sharpened. What'n't be this other man? Amara explained about Park. About Tae-hyun's manipulation. About all of it. Her mother was quiet for a long moment. Then, so this Korean man, this Tae-hyun, hire person to scare you? Yes. But also save you from Chidi? Yes. And you day stay for house now? Yes, mama. Another long pause. Then her mother switched to English, her accent thick but her words precise. Amara. Listen to me well. This man get control problem. That one I fit see clear. This man has control issues. I can see that clearly. But also get conscience. Chidi no get conscience. You understand the difference? I understand. Good. Because make I tell you something about men way like control. Let me tell you something about men who like control. Some of them day like that because dem wicked. Dem one break person. Like Chidi. Some of them are like that because they're wicked. They want to break people. Like Chidi. But some of dem day like that because dem day fear. Fear say if dem no control everything goes scatter. But some are like that because they're afraid. Afraid that if they don't control everything will fall apart. Amara looked at Tae-hyun, who was awake now, watching her with careful eyes. You think say na fear day worry Tae-hyun? You think it's fear bothering Tae-hyun? I know say na fear. And you know what'n be difference between man way day fear and man way day wicked. And you know what's the difference between a man who's afraid and a man who's wicked? Man way day fear fit change. Man way day wicked no fit change. A man who's afraid can change. A wicked man cannot change. Her mother paused, then added in English. So you need to decide which kind man this Tae-hyun be. And if him be the kind way fit change, you go help him change? Or you go run again. I don't tire today run, mama. I'm tired of running, mama. Then no run. Stand. Fight. And that Chidi way dem catch, make sure say go prison. Forever. You hear me? I hear you, mama. Good. Now come home. Come Port Harcourt. Face this thing proper. You know fit heal if you day run. You can't heal if you're running. After she hung up, Tae-hyun spoke. Your mother sounds terrifying. She is. Raised 4 children mostly alone while my father worked oil rigs. She's small but she's steel. And what did she say about me? I caught my name several times. Amara smiled. She said you have control issues because you're afraid, not because you're wicked. And that men who are afraid can change. Do you believe that? I'm starting to. Over breakfast, which Tae-hyun cooked with surprising skill, they planned. We're going to destroy him, Amara said, her voice steady now. Clear. Chidi. Publicly. Completely. Legally. So he can never do to anyone else what he did to me. How? Tae-hyun set down his coffee. I have evidence. Emails. Text messages. I recorded some of our later sessions when things started feeling wrong. My psych training kicked in, told me to document everything. She pulled out her phone, opened a cloud storage folder. Years of documentation. His grooming process. His manipulation techniques. Everything. Why didn't you use it before? Because I was ashamed. Scared. Convinced myself it was partly my fault. That I'd somehow consented to the training. She looked at him. But I was 23. He was my professor. He had institutional power, academic authority, psychological expertise. There was no real consent. Only coercion disguised as education. Then we use it. My lawyers. My resources. We bury him so deep he never sees daylight again. Why? Why help me when you're still processing your own guilt about what you did? Tae-hyun reached across the table, took her hand. Because what I did to you was wrong. And I need to prove I'm different from Chidi. Need to show you that when you tell me I've crossed a line, I stop. I change. I make it right. Not with words, with actions. By helping me take him down? By standing beside you while you take him down. This is your fight. Your justice. Your choice. He paused. I'm just here. Offering resources. Support. Whatever you need. But you're in charge. You decide the strategy. You call the shots. Amara looked at their joined hands. At this man who was genuinely trying to be different. Okay. But we do this MY way. On MY terms. You follow MY lead. Always. The next 3 days were war. Amara compiled evidence with Tae-hyun's lawyers. Contacted the University of Port Harcourt administration. Filed formal complaints with the Nigerian Psychological Association and the Council for the Regulation of Healthcare Professionals. She reached out to women's organizations in Port Harcourt. Posted carefully worded statements on social media. Let it be known that she was speaking up about abuse by a professor. And they found them. 9 other women. All former students of Chidi Okonkwo. All with eerily similar stories. Manipulation disguised as mentorship, boundaries crossed in the name of research. Young women made to feel like their discomfort was their own failing. All too scared to come forward alone. Until Amara did. Then they all spoke up. The scandal erupted across Nigerian academic circles. International psychology journals picked it up. Social media exploded with #MeTooNigeria hashtags. News outlets interviewed victims. Within 72 hours, Chidi was terminated from the university. His psychology license was under investigation. His published research was being reviewed for ethics violations. His book contracts were cancelled. Criminal charges were being filed. But he wasn't done. On day 4, while they waited for the legal process to grind forward, Amara did something unexpected. She played music. Nigerian music. Specifically Burna Boy's Last Last, at a volume that made Tae-hyun's minimalist apartment vibrate with Afrobeats energy. What are you doing? He asked, looking up from his laptop where he'd been monitoring news coverage. I need to move. Need to feel something other than anger and fear and anxiety. She stood up, her body already responding to the rhythm. And you need to learn that not everything is about control. Sometimes you just need to let go. I don't dance. You will today. She pulled him up from the couch. Come. Let me teach you something about my culture that has nothing to do with trauma. Something good. I'm going to be terrible at this. Yes. And that's the point. You're going to be terrible, and you're going to do it anyway, and the world won't end. She positioned him in front of her, took his hands, and started with the basics. Afrobeats isn't like your structured Korean choreography, she explained, moving her hips to the rhythm. It's not about precision. It's about feeling the music. Letting it move through you. She showed him the basic leg movement, the slight bend in the knees, the bounce, the shift of weight. He tried. Looked like a robot having a malfunction. She laughed, really laughed, for the first time in days. You look like you're being electrocuted. I told you I'd be terrible. You're thinking too much. Feel the bass. Let it move your hips. She demonstrated, her body fluid and natural. Like this. It's all in the waist. We call it shaka shaku. He tried again. Slightly better but still painfully awkward. Wait! She moved behind him, placed her hands on his hips. Stop trying to control the movement. Just let it happen. Feel the beat, boom, boom, boom. And move with it, not against it. She guided his hips, showing him the movement. His body was tense at first, resisting, trying to maintain that control he clung to. Relax, she murmured. This isn't a business negotiation. You can't logic your way through dance. You have to surrender to the music. Surrender, he repeated. That word again. Always that word. But this is good surrender. Fun surrender. Surrender to joy instead of fear. She came around to face him again, showing him the arm movements, the shoulder bounce. Teaching him phrases in Pidgin. Na so we day do am. That's how we do it. Carry go. Keep going. He was terrible. Objectively, embarrassingly terrible. But he was trying. Letting himself look foolish. Letting go of the rigid control that usually governed every movement. And somewhere between the second and third song, something shifted. He started to smile. Then laugh at himself. Then actually kind of catch the rhythm. See, you're getting it. Amara moved closer, their bodies almost touching as they danced. Now the hip movement, small circles like this. She demonstrated and he mimicked, his hands finding her waist to steady himself, to feel the movement she was teaching. The song changed to something slower, more sensual. O Malays understand. The energy shifted. They were still dancing but closer now. His hands on her waist. Her hands on his shoulders. The movement less about teaching and more about something else. "This is how we dance at parties," she said softly. "Close. Connected. It's called grinding, but it's not vulgar. It's just being I and the music together. I like this better than shaku shaku," he admitted, his voice rough. "Because you can hold me while doing it? Because I can feel you. Your body. Your rhythm. Your control, not mine." She rolled her hips against him and felt his sharp intake of breath. "Amara. Just dance. Don't think. Don't plan. Just feel." They moved together, the music pulsing around them, her body teaching his how to let go, how to move without thinking, how to surrender to sensation instead of thought. His phone rang. They both groaned. "Don't answer it," Amara said. But he was already pulling away, checking the screen. "It's my lawyer. About Chidi. I have to." He answered in Korean, moving toward his office. Amara stood alone in the living room, the music still playing, her body still humming with rhythm and something else. Something that felt dangerously like desire. She'd taught him to move. Now she needed to figure out if she was ready for him to move her. Tae-hyun came back looking grim. "What happened?" "Chidi made bail. Posted by someone claiming to be a concerned colleague. He's out." Amara's blood went cold. "How?" "The charges are still processing. The legal system moves slowly, even with pressure. And he has connections. Academic colleagues who believe his version. Who think you're just an unstable former student making false accusations. Of course they do." She sat down heavily. "That's always the story. The powerful man is innocent. The woman is lying." Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. Port Harcourt area code. She answered. "Hello. Amara." Chidi's voice. Calm. Controlled. Dangerous. "We need to talk. We have nothing to talk about. Your mother. Your father. Your younger sister Kalechi. All still in Port Harcourt. All very accessible." Her world tilted. "You're threatening my family? I'm offering a choice. You destroyed my career. My reputation. My life. Now I'm offering you a chance to fix it. By doing what? Come home. To Port Harcourt. Retract your statements. Tell everyone you were mistaken. Confused. That our relationship was consensual, and you're only speaking up now because you're embarrassed about your current career." He paused. "Do that and your family stays safe. Refuse and what? You'll hurt them." "I don't need to hurt them. I just need to expose them. Your father's side business, the one that's not quite legal. Your sister's scholarship that was obtained through documents that weren't quite honest. Your mother's small loans from cooperative societies that she can't quite repay." His voice was smooth, educated, persuasive. "I'll destroy them socially, financially, reputationally. They'll lose everything. All because you couldn't admit that you wanted what we had. That's blackmail. That's consequences. You have 48 hours. Come to Port Harcourt. Meet me at the usual place, you remember it. The hotel where we had our sessions. Make this right, or your family pays." He hung up. Amara stared at her phone, hands shaking. Tae-hyun was beside her immediately. "What did he say?" "He's threatening my family. Says he has information that could destroy them. Wants me to come to Port Harcourt. Retract everything. Meet him at," she couldn't finish. "At the place where he abused you." "Yes. Then we go to Port Harcourt. We end this. Face to face. It's a trap. Probably. But what choice do we have?" Amara looked at him. "If we do this, if we go, you need to understand something. I'll have to face him. Really face him. In the place where it all happened. And I don't know if I'm strong enough." "You are strong enough." Tae-hyun pulled her close. "You've been strong for 5 years. You built a new life. A new identity. A whole career based on reclaiming the power he tried to take. That's strength. But what if seeing him there makes me remember? Makes me feel like that 23-year-old girl again? What if Then I'll be there. Reminding you who you chose to become. Who you are, not who he tried to make you." He cupped her face. "And if you need to surrender to feel safe, to process the trauma, you surrender to me. Not him. Never him again. Why would you accept my surrender? Our entire arrangement is me teaching you how to surrender. Because this isn't about D/S anymore. It's about US. About trust. About two people learning that power is an illusion and love requires mutual vulnerability." He kissed her softly. "Do you trust me?" She wanted to say no. Wanted to protect herself. But, yes. "God help me, I trust you. Then trust me to stand with you in Port Harcourt. Not over you. Not under you. Beside you. As equals. Okay. She took a shaky breath. We leave tomorrow. Murtala Muhammad International Airport in Lagos was chaos and heat, and overwhelming sensory input. They'd flown into Lagos first, no direct flights from Seoul to Port Harcourt, then had to take a connecting flight on a small domestic carrier that made Tae-hyun grip the armrests with white knuckles. I've flown all over the world, he muttered. But African domestic flights are different. Welcome to Nigeria, Amara said, some of her tension easing despite the situation. Being home did that, even when coming home was dangerous. Where we laugh at your first world aviation standards. Port Harcourt Airport was smaller, more manageable. The humid air hit them like a wall the moment they left the air-conditioned terminal. The smell of the city, salt from the nearby port mixed with crude oil from refineries mixed with street food and flowers and earth. Memory slammed into Amara, so hard she stumbled. Tae-hyun caught her. You okay? No. Yes. I don't know. She straightened. It's just, I haven't been home in 5 years. Everything is the same, but I'm different. It's disorienting. They checked into the Le Méridien Hotel. Not the hotel where Chidi wanted to meet. That one held too many ghosts. This one was neutral ground. Tae-hyun had hired security again. 6 men, all Nigerian, all former military. Professional and discreet. He won't get near you without me knowing. One of them, a massive Igbo man named Chike, assured her. He doesn't need to get near me. He just needs to threaten. And he's already done that. Her phone buzzed. Message from Chidi. Welcome home, Amara. I know you've arrived. Tomorrow. The Atlantic Hotel. Room 304. Same room as before. Noon. Come alone. Prove you're ready to make this right. Or I start making calls about your family. Your choice. Atlantic Hotel. Tae-hyun read over her shoulder. That's where he. Yes. Her voice was flat. Room 304. Where he held most of our training sessions. Where he. She couldn't finish. You're not going alone. He said. I don't care what he said. I'll stay in the hallway. Close enough to hear if you need help. Far enough to let you handle this your way. But you're not facing him alone in that room. Amara wanted to argue. But the truth was she was terrified. Terrified of being in that space again. Terrified of what memories might surface. Terrified that 5 years of healing might collapse under the weight of that room's ghosts. Okay, she whispered. But let me lead. Let me control the approach. This is my fight. Always. That night, neither of them could sleep. Too much anxiety. Too much history pressing down. Too much fear about what tomorrow would bring. They lay in the hotel bed. 2 rooms booked, but they'd ended up in one. Facing each other in the dark. Tell me something, Amara said. Why did you really come to me? Just the panic attacks? Or something else? Tae-hyun was quiet for a moment. Then, there was someone before you. A woman. We were engaged. She said my need for control was killing our relationship. That I needed to learn to surrender. To be vulnerable. What happened? I tried. Let her take control sometimes. Opened up emotionally. Showed her my fears, my weaknesses, my need for structure and order. His voice went hard. She used all of it against me. Manipulated me. Cheated with someone she said was more dominant, more masculine. Then left, telling me I was weak when I surrendered. That real men don't give up control. That's abuse. I know. But it destroyed something in me. Made me more controlling. More rigid. More terrified of vulnerability. Until I couldn't function anymore. Until the panic attacks started because my body was screaming that I couldn't keep living like this. So you came to me to learn that surrender doesn't equal weakness. To prove that vulnerability with the right person is strength, not weakness. That there's power in letting go, when it's safe. When it's chosen. Amara's hand found his in the dark. You're not weak. You're learning. And learning requires more courage than pretending you already know everything. So are you. Facing Chidi tomorrow. Or stupidity. Both, probably. He pulled her closer, and she let him, needing the warmth and solid presence of him. Amara, if something happens tomorrow, if things go wrong, I need you to know something. What? I'm falling in love with you. Not the dominatrix. Not the professional persona. You. The woman who's terrified but shows up anyway. The woman who ran but came back to fight. The woman who's both powerful and vulnerable and still figuring out which parts are real and which parts were armor. Tears burned in her eyes. I'm falling for you too. And it terrifies me. Because love requires surrender. The real kind. The kind where you give someone power to destroy you and trust they won't. And I swore I'd never do that again. Then don't surrender to love. Don't give me power to destroy you. He kissed her softly. Just let me love you. Let me stand with you. No power exchange. No games. No manipulation. Just us. Equal. Choosing each other. She kissed him back. Deeper. Needier. Make love to me, she whispered. Before tomorrow. Before everything might change. I need to know what it feels like to choose this. To choose vulnerability. To choose surrender that's mine to give, not taken. Are you sure? I'm sure. I choose this. I choose you. For the first time in 5 years, I'm choosing to be vulnerable. With someone I trust. Don't make me regret it. Tae-hyun's hands trembled as he touched her face. Not from nervousness. From the sheer magnitude of what she was offering him. Choice. Trust. Vulnerability. The very things she'd sworn never to give again. Tell me what you need, he murmured, his thumbs stroking her cheeks with devastating gentleness. I need you to go slow. I need this to be different from what Chidi did. What he took. Her voice was steady, but her hands shook as she reached for him. He always rushed. Always made it about his control, his pleasure, his needs. Always made me feel like my body was just a tool for his dominance. This is about your pleasure. Your pace. Your choice. Tae-hyun kissed her softly. I'm here to give, not take. To worship, not use. Tell me what feels good. Tell me what you need. This belongs to you. His hands moved over her body slowly, reverently. Not dominating. Not controlling. Just feeling. Learning. Appreciating. He undressed her piece by piece, his movements deliberate but not rushed. Each article of clothing removed was accompanied by kisses pressed to newly exposed skin. Her blouse, kisses on her shoulders, her collarbone. Her bra, kisses on the swell of her breasts, the curve beneath them. Her skirt, kisses on her hip bones, the sensitive skin of her inner thighs. When she was finally naked beneath him, he paused. Just looked at her. You're beautiful, he breathed, his voice rough with genuine awe. Not as a body to possess or control. As a person. Your strength. Your courage. Your complexity. Your scars and your power and everything that makes you you. Less talking, she said, pulling him down to her. More showing me that I made the right choice trusting you. He smiled against her lips and obeyed. His mouth traced a path down her neck, pausing at her pulse to feel it racing. Down her collarbone, learning the hollow there. Over her breasts, taking his time, his tongue circling her nipples until she arched into him with a gasp. Sensitive here, he murmured, filing the information away. What else makes you feel good? Teach me. This is about learning you. His hand slid down her stomach, over her hip, between her thighs. His fingers explored carefully, paying attention to every catch in her breath, every small sound she made. When he finally touched her clit, circling it with feather-light pressure, she gasped his name. Like this, he asked. More pressure. Yes. God, yes, like that. He obeyed, his fingers learning her rhythm, finding what made her hips roll, what made her breathing change, what made her reach for him desperately. You're so responsive, he said, wonder in his voice. So beautiful when you let yourself feel without performing. Is this okay? Do you need? I need more. Inside. Please. His fingers slid lower, one finger pushing inside her carefully, watching her face for any sign of discomfort. Okay. More than okay. More. I need more. He added a second finger, then a third when she urged him on, his thumb still circling her clit as his fingers moved, stretching her, preparing her, building sensation that had nothing to do with power exchange and everything to do with connection. That's it, he encouraged softly. Show me what you need. Teach me how to make you feel good. This is yours, Amara. Your pleasure. Your choice. Your control. The orgasm built slowly, nothing like the quick, forced climaxes Chidi had demanded as proof of her submission. This was hers. At her pace. In her time. Building and building until. She came with tears streaming down her face and Tae-hyun's name on her lips, her body clenching around his fingers, waves of pleasure crashing through her. Why are you crying? He asked gently, kissing the tears away, his fingers still moving slowly, extending her orgasm. Because I forgot, she sobbed. Forgot this could be beautiful. Forgot surrender could feel safe. Forgot I could trust someone with my body without losing myself. Without becoming less. You'll never lose yourself with me. I promise. He kissed her deeply. You're not surrendering to me. We're surrendering to each other. Equal. Chosen. Free. He positioned himself between her thighs, his eyes holding hers. Ready, he asked. We can stop if. Don't stop. I need to feel you. Need to know this is real. Need to know I can be vulnerable and still be whole. He pushed forward slowly, so slowly, filling her inch by inch, giving her time to adjust, to accept, to choose each moment of connection. They both groaned when he was fully seated inside her. Look at me, he said, his voice strained with the effort of holding still, giving her control even now. Stay with me. I want to see you. Want you to see me. Not the past. Not the abuse. Not the fear. Just us. Just this moment. Just two people choosing each other. She held his gaze as he started to move, slow and deep and connected, each thrust deliberate and loving, building pleasure that was about both of them, not just him. Touch yourself, he said. I want to feel you come around me. Want to know I'm making you feel good. Her hand slid between their bodies, her fingers finding her clit, circling in time with his thrusts. The second orgasm built faster, her body still sensitive from the first. Come with me, she gasped. I want to feel you lose control too. Want to know you're surrendering with me. Amara, I can't hold. Then don't hold back. Let go. Surrender to us. He came with a cry, driving deep, his whole body shaking with the force of it. And she followed, clenching around him, sobbing his name, breaking apart and rebuilding simultaneously. After, they lay tangled together, sweaty and exhausted and whole. That was, Tae-hyun couldn't find words. Equal, Amara finished. Neither dominant. Neither submissive. Just partners. Lovers. People who chose each other. I think that's what we've been searching for all along. Both of us. She kissed him, soft and grateful. Thank you. For making vulnerability beautiful. For making surrender mine to give instead of his to take. Thank you for trusting me enough to try. They fell asleep wrapped in each other, safe for one night. Tomorrow and its confrontation could wait. The Atlantic Hotel looked exactly as Amara remembered. Rundown. Seedy. The kind of place that rented rooms by the hour and didn't ask questions. Chidi had chosen it deliberately, for privacy, yes, but also for the power dynamic. Bringing a young student to a place like this, making her uncomfortable, off balance, easier to manipulate. Room 304 was on the third floor. Tae-hyun and two security guards positioned themselves in the hallway, close enough to hear if she needed help. One shout, Tae-hyun said. That's all it takes. We come in. I know. She kissed him once, quick. Trust me. She knocked on the door. Chidi opened it immediately. Still handsome, that was the terrible part. Still looked like a respectable professor. Still had that gentle smile that had fooled so many people. Amara, you came. He stepped aside. Please. Let's talk like civilized people. She entered, her skin crawling with memory. This room. This exact room. Where he'd. No. Focus. She was here for a reason. What do you want, Chidi? I want you to tell the truth. That our relationship was consensual. That you participated willingly in the training. He sat in the chair, his chair, she remembered, the one he'd always sat in while she. In exchange for what? In exchange for your family's safety. Your father keeps his job. Your sister keeps her scholarship. Your mother doesn't face investigation into her financial dealings. Everyone stays safe and comfortable. That's blackmail. That's pragmatism. He leaned back, so confident, so sure he had her cornered. You can't win this, Amara. I have colleagues who will testify I'm innocent. Lawyers who will destroy your credibility. Resources you can't match. What if I told you I don't care about winning in court? What if I told you I already won? What are you talking about? 9 women, Chidi. 9 of your former students came forward after I did, with stories almost identical to mine. Patterns of grooming. Boundary violations. Manipulation disguised as mentorship. She moved closer, not in submission but in power. The university doesn't need a conviction to fire you. Just a pattern, which you've given them. His confidence flickered. But that's not why I'm really here, she continued. I'm here because I need to understand something. Why? Why me? Why did you target me specifically? I didn't target you. I saw you. Your potential. You're natural. Don't give me the recruitment speech. I've heard it. I want the truth. What were you really doing? Why did you need to break me so badly? He was quiet for a long moment. Then, because you were perfect. Strong. Brilliant. So fucking confident. I needed to prove I could break that. Needed to prove my dominance was real, not just theoretical. You were supposed to be my masterpiece. But I wasn't. I ran. You ran. The word was bitter, defeated. And you took my confidence with you. Because if I couldn't break you, then maybe I wasn't as dominant as I thought. Maybe I was just a fraud with academic credentials. You are a fraud. Because real dominants don't need to break anyone. They don't need to manipulate or coerce or abuse. They just are. And people choose to surrender to them. She knelt in front of him, not in submission but in absolute control. Chidi, you spent 5 years hunting me. But what were you really hunting? Me? Or proof that you still had power? Both. And if I told you that you never had power over me? That every moment you thought you were breaking me, I was studying you? Learning your techniques so I could use them myself? Gathering evidence? His face crumbled. No. You were mine. You submitted. I performed. Because I was a psychology student learning from a master manipulator. Every session was research. Every moment was documentation of abuse techniques for my future career. She leaned closer. I was never broken. Never owned. Never yours. I was always free. You just couldn't see it because you were too busy performing your own fantasy of dominance. You can't, that's not. I can. And I did. And now, she stood looking down at him. Now I'm giving you a choice. Let go. Leave Port Harcourt. Don't contact me or my family ever again. And I won't pursue criminal charges beyond what's already filed. Walk away while you still can. Or what? Or I release everything. Videos I recorded. Audio files. Every piece of evidence showing you're not just unethical. You're a predator. You'll be arrested. Charged. Imprisoned. And in Nigerian prison, academics don't last long. Especially ones known for abusing young women. The fight drained out of him. I just wanted, I needed. You needed to feel powerful. I understand. I'm the same. But power taken is an illusion. Power given is real. And I'm never giving you mine again. Her phone buzzed. Text from Tae-hyun. Security found your father. He's safe. Never was actually in danger. Chidi was bluffing about having people. Relief flooded through her. My family is safe. Your threats were empty. Your power is gone. All you have left is the choice. Walk away now. Or be destroyed completely. Chidi sat there broken, defeated. I'm sorry. Sorry isn't enough. But it's a start. Leave. Now. Before I change my mind about mercy. He stood on shaking legs. Walked to the door. Paused. You're stronger than I ever was. I taught you techniques. But you taught yourself freedom. You won. He left without looking back. And Amara collapsed against the wall. Tae-hyun burst in seconds later, catching her as her legs gave out. It's over, she sobbed. It's finally over. You were magnificent, he murmured, holding her. So strong. So brave. So completely in control. Did I become him? A manipulator? Someone who uses psychology as a weapon? No. His voice was firm. You used his techniques but gave him choice. Real choice. He could leave with consequences or stay and face worse. That's justice, not abuse. And you didn't enjoy breaking him. You did what you had to do to be free. She clung to him, letting herself feel, letting herself break in safety. Take me home. To Seoul. To wherever we can be US without all this history. Wherever you want. We'll go anywhere. Be anyone. As long as we're together. 3 days later, back in Seoul, everything seemed settled. Chidi was in Nigeria, reportedly seeking treatment for exhaustion. The university scandal had died down. Amara's clients were slowly returning as word spread that the drama was over. She was in her dungeon, preparing for a session when the package arrived. Delivered by courier. No return address. Just her name. Inside, a flash drive. And a note. Her hands shook as she read it. You think defeating Chidi means you're free? You're not. Because I've been watching you. Recording you. Learning you. For 2 years. Every session. Every client. Every private moment you thought was secret. I have hundreds of hours of footage from cameras you never knew existed. Including footage of you with clients who would be destroyed if this went public. Politicians. Judges. Businessmen. People with everything to lose. You have 1 week. Agree to be mine, completely no limits, no safe words, total surrender, or I release everything. Every video. Every name. Every secret. I'll destroy you and everyone who ever trusted you. TikTok dominatrix. Time to learn what real surrender feels like. Your shadow. Amara's hands shook as she inserted the flash drive into her laptop. Hundreds of files. Dates going back 2 years. Before Park. Before Chidi's return. Before everything. She clicked one at random. Her. In her dungeon. With Minister Kong, Korea's Minister of Justice. 6 months ago. A private session. Completely compromising. She clicked another. Her. With a married CEO whose company was about to go public. In positions that would destroy his family and business if leaked. Another. Her. In her own bedroom. Alone. getting dressed. Private moments she'd never consented to being filmed. Someone had been in her space. Her home. Watching. Recording. For years. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. A video file. She opened it with shaking hands. It was her. In her dungeon. With Minister Kong. But edited together with other footage to make it look like something illegal was happening. Drugs. Money exchange. Things that weren't true but looked real. The video ended with text. This is just a preview. I have hours more. All edited. All ready to release. Your choice, submit to me. Or be destroyed along with everyone who trusted you. You taught men to surrender. Now it's your turn. 1 week. Then I come to collect what's mine. P.S. Your boyfriend can't save you this time. I've been preparing too long. Watching too carefully. This ends with you surrendering. Or you losing everything. Tae-hyun found her 20 minutes later, still staring at the screen, frozen in horror. Amara? What's wrong? She couldn't speak. Just showed him the screen. He went pale as he watched the footage. Read the messages. Someone's been watching you for 2 years. Before Park. Before Chidi. Someone we don't even know. They have videos that could destroy my clients. Ruin lives. End careers. Politicians. Judges. People with families. And they, her voice broke. They have footage of me in my own home. Private moments. They've been eyeing my space, Tae-hyun. Inside my sanctuary. For years. Then we find them. We yendi this before. How? They're invisible. They've been watching for 2 years and I never noticed. Never suspected. How do we fight someone we can't see? Her phone buzzed again. Another message. Oh, and Amara? I'm not a stranger. I'm someone you know. Someone you trust. Someone who's been close to you this whole time. Watching. Learning. Planning. Think about that while you decide whether to surrender or be destroyed. Sweet dreams, dominatrix. Amara looked at Tae-hyun, genuine terror in her eyes. Someone I trust. Someone close to me. Her mind raced through possibilities. My assistant Minesio? One of my security guards? A client? Who? We'll figure it out. Will. What if it's too late? What if they've already won? Family, I need you to breathe right now. Because Amara just defeated Chidi. Faced her trauma. Found love with Tae-hyun. Reclaimed her power. And discovered someone else has been watching her for 2 years. Someone with cameras in her dungeon. Footage of her most private sessions. Videos that could destroy her and her high-profile clients. Someone she trusts. Someone close to her. Someone invisible. 1 week to submit completely. Or be exposed and destroyed. Comment find them if you want to know who's been watching. Comment fight if you think she should refuse and face the consequences. Comment burn it all if you think she should expose herself first. Because part 3 is going to reveal who's really been watching, how deep the surveillance goes, whether control is ever truly possible, if a dominatrix can save herself when her own tools are used against her, and what total surrender, no limits, no safe words actually means. This is Afro-K Dark Diaries TV, and that was part 2 of the surrender clause. Part 3, when control becomes captivity, is coming. Subscribe if you can't breathe. Share if you're turned on and terrified. Like if you need part 3 immediately. Because when a dominatrix gets blackmailed by someone she trusts, no one is safe. Not her clients. Not Tae-hyun. Not even herself. The surrender clause is being invoked. And this time, she might have to sign it in blood. To be continued in part 3. When control becomes captivity.